All right, so March Madness is now here. The bracket just got released, so this is going to be covering every single team that is in the tournament. So, getting started off, we're going to go with the conference champions first. There's not a really great order for me to do this in, so it's going to be all the conference champions and then all the the at-large teams. And there's no real order within those two groups. But starting off with conference champions, I might just get my camera off here, but. Okay, I'm not going to talk about every single thing on this because there's a lot of slides and a lot of teams. So it will take a long time for me to go through everything, but you guys can kind of see all the stats that I have listed out here for you. And I'll kind of talk about the big ones, and then you guys can look at them yourself. I will also post the link in the description to the presentation itself, so you can go there and look at every single slide on your own time as well. But this is what I got here for you guys. So first off, University of North Carolina, Wilmington, 14 seed, they won the Coastal Athletic Atlantic. They have a pretty good offense, being top 25 in offensive rating. That's all I got to say about them. Moving on there, we have the Horizon League champion, which was Robert Morris, our 15 seed here, 26-8, pretty good record. They have won 10 straight games, so that's certainly something to know. And Cam Woods and Alvaro Fulgaris are two really good players, for their team. Starting next up is the Northeast Conference. They got St. Francis. They are 16 seed. They were the 6th seed, or no, they were the 3 seed. Sorry, in their own conference tournament. Won 6 straight games. Only 8-8 in their conference, though. They have a negative record here at 16-17. So they're certainly one of the worst teams in here, which is why they are a play-in team here, and I don't expect them to do much of anything. Then we got West Coast Conference being Gonzaga. They make it here as an 8 seed. They have a 4-game winning streak. They're second in the league in points per game, first in assists per game. So offensively is really, really good. Defensively has kind of been their struggle in the games they have lost this season. Next up is the Atlantic Sun winner, which is Lipscomb University here. They're a 14 seed. They've won 6 straight games heading into March Madness. They have this guy, Jacob Ognjenovic, who's averaging close to 20 points per game. I rounded most of the stats here, but he's averaging, nearly 20 a game, which is obviously really, really good and doing it very efficiently as well. Then we got the Big South winner being High Point University. They're a 13 seed. They've won 14 straight games, so easily one of the hottest teams here heading into March Madness. They have an amazing offense, being 8th in field goal percentage and 3rd in offensive rating here as well. Then we got the Missouri Valley Conference winner, which is Drake University. I feel like they always win the Missouri Valley because I always hear about Drake being in March Madness. They have a record of 30-3, which is one of the best records in the entire college. Basketball might actually be the best record in college basketball this year. They're on a 7-game winning streak, and they do it defensively. Top 21 in both steals per game and defensive rating. Then we got Ohio Valley Conference winner, Southern Illinois University Edwardsville, SIUE, being a 16 seed here. They draw Houston round 1, so I don't think we're going to have a 16-1 upset, but this is probably the best bet I would choose if we were going to have a 16-1 upset, but again, probably not going to happen. Next up is the Southern Conference winner here being Wofford. They're 15 seed. They were the 6th seed in their own conference tournament. So definitely a team that's not supposed to be here, but they are a fun team to root for because, they've already had to go on kind of an upset run here in their own conference tournament. They don't have any stats that stand out too much because, again, they were just a middle of a pack team in the regular season, but they find themselves here at a 15 seed. Then we got the Summit League winner, University of Nebraska Omaha, or just, Omaha. They're a 15 seed. The best not the best, but like one of the better 3-point shooting teams, 51st in the country. Not like amazing, but still, that's basically their only stat. Their only stat of note. They have a few different guys that are shooting over 40% from 3, so certainly someone that could go on a very, very hot streak to potentially have a 15-2 upset, but again, 15-2 upset, not very likely. Then we got Sun Belt winner being Troy University. They're a 14 seed. They've won 6 straight games, and they're a really good offensive rebounding team, have 12 offensive boards a game, and a really good stealing team, being 14th in the country in there as well. Next up is the Patriot League. We got the American University. They're a 16 seed play-in here, so certainly one of the worst teams in this in March Madness at the moment, but they also don't have any guys necessarily that are really doing great. Their best guys here are averaging 9 points and 10 points per game, so certainly is a group effort, which is probably not going to go very well for them here in March Madness. Then we got the Southland Conference winner being McNeese State University. They have a 20-1 conference record, so really good there. They're on an 11-game winning streak, great. They're top 30 in field goal percentage and top 26 in defensive rating, so they're doing really good on both sides of the ball. Then we got the Big Sky Conference winner being the University of Montana here as a 14 seed. 16-3 in conference, so pretty much dominated the Big Sky here. Third in the country in field goal percentage, almost 50% is really, really good. They beat Northern Colorado twice, which was the #1 seed in their own conference. So that's their only really their only wins of note. But players to watch, they got this guy named Money Williams. So, like, his name is Money. So if he can go have a really good round 1 game and get a 14-3 upset here, he's going to be a March Madness legend simply because his name is Money, and like that's pretty dope. Then we got the American East Conference winner being Brock University. They're 14-2 in conference, so 15 seed here. They're top 18 in points per game and top 4 in rebounds per game, so pretty good. In those categories, don't have any good wins to note, but they didn't really play a lot of good teams this season. Then we got the Mid-East Athletic Conference, the MAC winner being Norfolk State University. They're 16 seed, 24-10 overall here. They're on a 4-game winning streak, so pretty much just their conference tournament. They won all those games, obviously. They are top 16 in field goal percentage, which is certainly something to note. And this guy, Christian Ings, shoots 48% from 3 on their team. Then we got the Big 12 winner being Houston University, or Houston. They're a 1 seed here, 30-4, so one of the best teams in college basketball, obviously being a #1 seed here. 19-1 in conference, with that one loss being to Texas Tech. This is kind of where some of these best wins and best losses that I have here get really important when you got these great teams here like Houston. Beat Arizona twice, beat KU twice, beat Texas Tech and Iowa State. They have 4 losses, and they're to Alabama, Auburn, Texas Tech, and SDSU, who are all tournament teams. So definitely a really good year for Houston. Then we got the Mountain West winner being Colorado State University as a 12 seed here. I thought they would be a little bit higher than that, to be honest, but still certainly a good spot to be in the tournament. 16-4 in conference. They're on a 10-game winning streak. They have a high percentage of assists, being 7th in the country in that, and they're top 25 there in true shooting percentage as well. The Big East, we got St. John's led by Rick Pitino. They are 2 seed. They are 30-4 this season, 18-2 in conference. Easily one of the best teams in college basketball right now. They come in as off of a 9-game winning streak, being one of the best defensive teams in the country, with a defensive rating of 94.0, ranking 2nd in the nation. Next up is Akron, being the MAC conference champion. Coming here as a 13 seed, 17-1 in a conference, so dominated the MAC. They are a scoring team. They're 8th in points per game and 6th in 3-pointers made. So they're somebody that could easily get hot here in March Madness and potentially be a Sweet 16 contender here for sure if they can continue to make 10 to 11 3-pointers a game. Definitely going to be an upset watch for whoever they end up going up against. I kind of forgot who they played already, but moving on from there, we got the MAAC, the Mount St. Mary's University, being a 16 seed play-in. They're the 6th seed in their own conference, so they're certainly not supposed to be here. Their only stat of note is that they're 52nd in rebounds per game, which still really isn't really much to note there. They did beat St. Francis, who's also a tournament team, so that is the only thing they really have going for them. I expect them to certainly not do much in March Madness. Then we got Conference USA champion Liberty, being a 12 seed here, 28-6 overall, probably should be 13-5 in conference, not 23-5, but mess that up a little bit there. Their best wins, they didn't really play a lot of great teams, but K-State, Jacksonville State, Middle Tennessee, Liberty doing pretty good. Also, number 6 in true shooting percentage and number 7 in defensive rating. Very good stats there. Next is the ACC winner, being Duke. Cooper Flagg injury. He said he should be back for March Madness. They were holding him out for the ACC tournament, and they still ended up winning it. So that's obviously good. 31-3. One of the best records, probably the best record, I think, tied at least for the best record in college basketball. 11-game winning streak, being number 1 in offensive rating and number 4 in defensive rating. Certainly feel like they should have been the number 1 overall team, in my opinion. Then we got the Southwestern Athletic Conference here, the SWAC. Alabama State University being a 16 seed play-in. They were the 5 seed in their own conference tournament. Went on a 6-game winning streak to win out to end the season and end up making it here, but probably not going to do much. One thing they have going for them, they do not turn the ball over, being 6th in the league in turnovers per game at 8.7. So they're going to have to, really keep their turnovers down if they want to make any sort of noise as a 16 seed. Then we got the Big West being UCSD, University of California, San Diego. They are 30-4, one of the best teams in college basketball. This is their first year being March Madness eligible after they had their 4-year bubble or whatever, transitioning to D1. They're on a 15-game winning streak, the hottest team in college basketball. They're 13th in offensive rating, the lowest amount of turnovers per game, and the best defensive rating in the league. Certainly a big team that I could see making a Sweet 16 or even a potential, Elite 8 run if they get lucky. Then we got the Western Athletic Conference, being Grand Canyon University here winning, being a 13th seed, 26-7 right now. They've won 9 of their last 10 games. 21st in pace, so they do like to get shots up, and they are 9th in defensive rating there as well. Then we got the Ivy League winner being Yale University at 22-7, 13-1 in conference. They've won 16 of their last 17 games, so one of the hottest teams in basketball. They don't have an amazing win streak technically, but 16 of 17 is obviously really, really good. Their only loss in that time being to Howard, who's a decent Ivy League school. But moving on from there, we got the A10 conference winner being Virginia Commonwealth University, VCU, 28-6, the 1 seed in their conference. They've won 12 of their last 13 games. They like to rebound the ball. They're being 12th in offensive boards, being 5th in defensive rating, and 30th in offensive rating. Honestly, one of the better 11 seeds, in my opinion. They could easily make a run to the Sweet 16 as well. Then we got the SEC winner being University of Florida. SEC has been pretty dominant basically all around, and Florida winning that, conference tournament certainly, puts them on a different level than anyone else in that conference, in my opinion. 30-4 here. They're 2 seeded in the conference. They're 3rd in points per game, 2nd in rebounds per game, 7th in offensive rating, and 23rd in defensive rating. So easily one of the more well-rounded teams here in college basketball. Then we got the AAC winner being the University of Memphis, coming as a 5 seed, 29-5, 16-2 in conference. They have an 8-game winning streak, are 20th in the league at 3-point percentage, and they have PJ Haggerty, who is an absolute menace. He put up 40-some points in their conference tournament against Wichita State, averaging 22 points per game on the season very, very efficiently. Then we got the University of Michigan winning the Big Ten. They come in as a 3 seed in their own conference, only on a 3-game winning streak here. Kind of got hot at the right time. 35th in field goal percentage is their only stat of note. I feel like they're one of the worst 5 seeds in my opinion, but coming in hot off these last 3 games against 3 really good schools certainly could give them some more momentum heading into March Madness. Then we got the field here, so we're going to go through all the other 37 teams who did not win their conference. So starting off is West Coast Conference St. Mary's. They're 7 seed, 28-5, 17-1 in conference, with that one loss being to Gonzaga. So they also beat Gonzaga twice here this season. So obviously, a pretty good year for St. Mary's. They're 10th in rebounds per game and 11th in defensive rating. Then we got Georgia coming in as a 9 seed. They were the 11th seed in their own conference. Ended up losing in round 1 of the conference tournament. They have some good wins, though, against Florida, Kentucky, and St. John's, who are all really, really good teams this year. Then we got Iowa State being a 3 seed here, 20-9 overall. They lost in the quarterfinals of their own conference tournament, but they are a really good defensive team, 14th in steals per game and 21st in defensive rating. Also against some big wins against Texas Tech, Baylor, KU, and Marquette. Then the SEC, we got University of Arkansas, a 10 seed, 20-13. They lost in the second round, but they do get Boogie Fland back. That's something I really want to note here. Boogie Fland has been out for the majority of conference play here for Arkansas. Getting him back for the March Madness tournament, hopefully, propels them to do really good here. But they also play KU in round 1, so not the most favorable matchup. Then we got the Big East being Xavier here as 11 seed play-in, 21-11. They've won 7 of their last 8 games, losing only in the conference tournament there. They are 7th in the league in 3-point percentage and 6th in free throw percentage. So certainly those are 2 good stats you'd like to have heading into March Madness. Then we got San Diego State as a play-in here. for the 11th seed. They're 21-9 in conference, or 29 overall, 14-6 in conference, 15th in the country in defensive rating. Obviously, is something that you really like to see. And they got some good notable players like Nick Boyd, BJ Davis, and Miles Bird. Then we got the Big 12. Baylor University as a 9 seed. 19-14 is pretty bad record, in my opinion, to be a 9 seed. They've only won 3 of their last 8 games. Definitely not a team that I feel like is going to make any sort of noise in March Madness. They do have a top 5 projected pick in BJ Edgecombe, but hasn't really done much for them all year long as far as winning basketball. Then we got Mississippi State coming in as an 8 seed, 21-12. They've only won 2 of their last 7 games. So kind of like Baylor, they're not really coming in on a good streak here heading into March Madness. They do have some good wins earlier in the year against Texas A&M, Ole Miss twice, and Memphis, but they have not beat any of the elite SEC teams. Then we got KU coming in as a 7 seed, 21-12. They've only won 3 of the last 6 games, losing to Houston, Texas Tech, and Arizona, though. Those are 3 good wins to have. They're 6th in the country in assists per game, so definitely like to move the ball. And Hunter Dickinson is certainly a big name in college basketball, and Zeke Mayo is one of the best transfers this year, averaging 41% shooting from 3 there as well. Then we got Oklahoma coming in as a 9 seed. They're 20-13 overall, but 6-12 in conference. So they were amazing out of conference play, but in conference play, not so much. Have not beat any of the big SEC schools. They are 6th in free throw percentage and 15th in true shooting percentage, though, overall. Then we got Oregon here coming in as a 5 seed, 24-9 overall. They're the 8th seed in their own conference tournament, and they did lose in the quarterfinals. But they have won 8 of the last 9 games, so they're kind of a hot team right now. I believe they made the Elite 8 last year as well, so certainly have the history to make a good run in March Madness. Then we got Mississippi, Ole Miss here at number 6. They're 22-11. They've only won 3 of the last 7 games, though, so not a very hot streak coming in. They are 4th in the country in turnovers per game. They're at only 8.5. Next up is UCLA, being a 7 seed here, coming out of the Big Ten. They've won 3 of the last 5 games, so not great. Don't have much stats to note here, but they have beat some good teams: Michigan State, Wisconsin, Arizona, and Oregon twice. Next up is Texas. They're 11 seed play-in at 19-15. I did not think they deserved to be in here. They're only 6-12 in their own conference, 13th seed in that conference. They do have Trey Johnson averaging 20 points per game, so he is certainly worthy of being March Madness caliber star, but he's going to need to be a star for Texas to make any sort of noise here in the tournament. Then we got Marquette coming in as a 7 seed, 23-10 overall. They're the 5 seed in their own conference, but they did make it to the conference semifinals where they ended up losing to Creighton, I believe. But their best wins, they have beat Creighton, Wisconsin, Maryland, Purdue. All 4 of those teams are March Madness teams, so certainly has some great wins on their resume. Next up is the University of Illinois. They're 21-12, won 4 of the last 5 games, 11th in points per game, and 1st in rebounds per game. So certainly good in those categories. Moving on from there, we got North Carolina being an 11 seed play-in. I did not think they were going to make this either, but they're 20-13, the 5 seed in their own conference. They have won 8 of their last 10 games and barely lost to Duke in that conference semifinal matchup, but Duke was also without Cooper Flag. They're top 32 in points per game, which is solid, but they've lost to Duke 3 times this year. They've lost to some elite SEC teams, Florida, Auburn, Alabama. So whenever they've had to play like an elite team, they've always lost. Next up, BYU coming in as a 6 seed, 24-9. They've won 9 of the last 10 games. The only one they lost to Houston in the conference finals. They're top 10 in three-point percentage, or three-pointers made, in the league. 19th in offensive rating as a whole. So really offensively minded team here for BYU. Next up is Missouri coming in as a 6 seed, 22-11. They've only won 1 of their last 5 games, so that's certainly not something you like to see going into March Madness. They are top 12 in steals per game and top 5 in offensive rating. Those are good stats, but the last 5 games have been on a pretty bad stretch, and you'd probably assume that carries over into March Madness, where they probably end up getting upset in round 1. Then we got Purdue University coming in as a 4 seed, 22-11. They've only won 2 of their last 8 games as well, so kind of like Missouri. They're pretty bad in these last couple of weeks, so you don't really expect them to just magically turn it around and finally get their good win now. So I do think Purdue is certainly one of the teams that you really need to watch to be upset here early. Then we got UConn coming in as an 8 seed, 23-10. They've won 5 of the last 6 games, only losing in the semis to, I believe, St. John's in that conference tournament. 6th in assists per game, 10th in offensive rating. So definitely a great offensive team, but I don't think UConn's going to make any sort of noise as far as three-peating this year, but they definitely could be a Sweet 16 kind of team. We got Clemson coming in as a 5 seed, 27-6. I thought they could be even potentially like a 4 seed here. They've won 9 of the last 10 games, losing in the semis only to, I think, Louisville. So a great loss there. They beat Duke and Kentucky earlier this year as well. So they got 2 ranked wins and only 1 ranked loss all season. Next up is the Mountain West University of New Mexico coming in as a 10 seed. So they're the 1 seed in their conference tournament. Ended up losing to, I think, Utah, to Boise State maybe, one of those teams. But they've won 4 of the last 5 games. They're 8th in pace this season and 13th in defensive rating. So they like to move the ball. They like to get shots up, and they do really good defensively when they do force other teams to play fast. Then we got Texas Tech coming in as a 3 seed, 25-8, 2 seed in the conference tournament, lost in the semifinal to, I believe, Arizona. They've won 4 of the last 5 games, though, including a win over KU. Offensive rating number 7th in the entire league, 20th in three-point percentage. And, of course, they have JT Toppin, who's supposed to be a first-round draft pick in the NBA, who put up 40-some points earlier this season. Then we got Kentucky coming in as a 3 seed, 22-11. They've won 3 of the last 4 games. They're 3rd in the country in points per game, though, and 21st in offensive rating. So definitely a great offense here for Kentucky, but if they do end up losing here early like they have in the past, it's probably going to be because of their defense. Sorry about that. But moving on from there, we got Michigan State. Michigan State coming in as a 2 seed, 27-6. They've won 8 of the last 9 games, only losing to Wisconsin in the conference semifinals. They're 8th in rebounds per game, 21st in defensive rating, so a great defensive team here in Michigan State. Next up is Auburn at a 1 seed here. They've only won 1 of their last 4 games, so they've lost 5 games all year, and 3 of those have been in the last 2 weeks. So I thought they should probably fall to a 2 seed here, or at the very least not be the number 1 overall seed, but the committee thought otherwise. They're top 10 in turnovers per game and 2nd in offensive rating, though, so certainly very capable of winning the national championship this year. Next up is going to be Maryland as a 4 seed. They're 25-8. They've won 4 of their last 5 games. They're 8th in defensive rating and 31st in offensive rating, so a pretty well-balanced team here as well. And Derek Queen is an absolute menace for Maryland. Next up, Alabama as a 2 seed, 25-8. Only won 2 of the last 5 games, though, kind of concerning, but a lot of those games were against some elite, SEC teams. They beat Auburn twice this year, so that's obviously a very, very good win. They beat Houston as well, so 3 wins against 1 seeds here in the conference or in March Madness. Certainly a great resume for Alabama. They're also 1st in the country in points per game. Then we got Arizona coming in as a 4 seed here. They're the 3 seed in their own conference, but they ended up losing in the conference championship game to Houston. They're top 15 in free throw percentage and rebounds per game, so pretty good in those 2 categories. Caleb Love obviously has a lot of experience, lost a national championship game before, so he could certainly get Arizona going on a run here if he's hitting his shots. Next up, we got Creighton University coming as a 9 seed, 24-10. They've won 4 of the last 5 games. They have beat UConn twice this year. They beat Marquette, St. John's, and KU. A lot of good tournament wins there for Creighton. They made a good run last year. They got some notable guys like Stephen Ashworth and Ryan Kalkbrenner as well. Next up is going to be University of Louisville as an 8 seed. They're only 27-7. I feel like they should probably be like a 6 seed or a 5 seed, honestly. They've won 11 of the last 12 games. Only lost to the conference championship game to Duke, so can't really blame them too much for there. They beat UNC, Indiana, and Clemson twice this year. They're a really good team, in my opinion. And they're ranked number 13 in the AP poll as of today, so I'm not sure how that equates to being the 8 seed in the tournament here. Next up is Tennessee, coming as a 2 seed, 27-7. They've won 7 of their last 9 games, lost in the SEC title game to Florida. They're top 15 in defensive rating, and they have some great wins against Auburn, Alabama, Florida, and Louisville. Then we got Utah State coming as a 10 seed. They've won 2 of the last 5 games, so they're kind of fallen off towards the back half of these last couple of weeks. But they're still top 8 in assists per game, 9th in offensive rating, and have some good wins against Colorado State and St. Mary's, who are both tournament teams. Next up is Texas A&M as a 4 seed, 21-10. They've 2 of the last 7 games though, so kind of like Utah State, they're kind of falling off these last couple of weeks, but certainly worthy of being a tournament team. But I do not think they should have been a 4 seed. I think they could have easily fallen down to like a 6 or 7 seed, in my opinion. They're 8th in rebounds per game though, and 1st in offensive rebounds. Certainly, if you can get second chance opportunities here in March, it's going to go a long way. Next up is Wisconsin as a 3 seed, 26-9, with 3 last 4 games. They are 1st in the league in free throw percentage, obviously a good stat to have here in March Madness. Have some good wins against Michigan State, Purdue, Arizona, and Michigan as well. And then we got Vanderbilt here as a 10 seed. They're 20-12, but they are coming off 3 straight losses, 8-10 in their own conference. They are top 20 in steals per game, though. That's a good stat. And they have beat Tennessee, who is one of the best teams here in the SEC, but they have not beat the elite SEC teams like Alabama, Florida, or Auburn. So after that, we're going to talk about some of the teams that have been left out. I'm not going to talk too much about these guys. You guys can just look at them here. But we got Ohio State at 17-15. They probably deserve to be out. West Virginia at 19-13. I thought they could have been a bowl team, potentially 11 or 12 seed playing game. Cincinnati, yeah, they didn't deserve to be in here, but I included them because they were kind of close. Indiana, they were 19-13. They were certainly a team that Joe Lombardi was predicting to be the last team in, as you know, either today or yesterday he was predicting that. Then we got Wake Forest here, maybe last week or 2 weeks ago. They were within like the next 4 or the first 4 out, but yeah, recently going on 2 of the last 6 games makes sense for them not to be in here. Then we got Villanova. I thought they could have had a potential. They were on Gennardi's, top 8 teams that are just missed the playoffs, so it makes sense that they missed it though. Then we got SMU, 23-10, 6 seed in their own conference though, 3 of 6 in the last 6 games. Definitely not ideal. They would have won, at least go to this conference semis. They potentially could have snuck in there as a playing team. Then we got Dayton. Again, if they could have made the conference semis at the very least, they could have made a little bit of noise, but losing in the quarterfinals is not a good look. Then we got North Texas, who would have made the conference championship game. They could have had some buzz. They had some buzz leading up to their semifinal matchup against, I believe, UAB. They were within the next 4 out, so even beating UAB, they did not need to beat Memphis. Just beating UAB could have potentially put North Texas here in the tournament. And then we got the Mountain West, Boise State University. I thought they're certainly going to be a playing team. They've won 7 of the last 9 games. They made the conference championship game, so I definitely thought they should have been in here over a UNC or a Texas, but I'm not too upset with it, I suppose. But then we got University of California, Irvine, who was 28-6. Probably doesn't make sense for them to make it, but they just did so good overall record-wise. That's going to be it for this video. Thank you for watching. I'll make a prediction video coming on like Wednesday or so probably, but that's all I got. And again, I have a link posted to my presentation in the description if you want to go back and look at any of those teams.